Shamari Reesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Dr. Alain Salas, #1 Amazon bestselling author, chiropractic physician, and body and mind expert. Please enjoy Alain Salas. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Alain Salas, #1 Amazon bestselling author, chiropractic physician, and body and mind expert. Welcome to the show.
Bonjour, Mary, like we say in my country. Obviously, I've got a tiny accent. You know, I was born and raised in south of France. So hello to everybody.
Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you about creativity. But before we start, would you mind sharing a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Well, I've been doing, actually, I had a calling. I was living on my sailing boat in south of France, and I saw myself helping other people, right? And when you've got a calling, I mean, there's no doubt. You just have to try it, right? So I ended up, coming to the US to study and graduate from chiropractic school. And why chiropractic? Because they were talking about the innate intelligence, your own ability to heal yourself. And that was really fascinating to me. And so I did study that. And I basically, after I created a different program talking about creation, created a different program, my own actually energy technique, and also really a holistic approach to healing, right? And so I created the mind clearing system, right? And so, of course, creation is all about who I am, right? And what I love to do. And I've been doing that for 28 years. And I don't get bored because, of the creativity, really. And so that's basically in a nutshell who I am. And along the way in my life, I try to find some solution for my problem like a regular man or woman.
Absolutely. Well, this idea of creativity in your world, what does it mean to you to be creative?
That's a very good question, but can be a complex question too, because there's different way that
Yes.
creativity comes to me. But to put it on a nutshell, for me, creativity means to be connected to higher powers. Creativity for me means to be created to your highest, connected to your higher self. And so, for example, the creativity, I remember at one point with the mind clearing system, on one of my 3 steps, which is the first one, delete, I knew intuitively for sure that there was some missing things, right? And the way I did it and the way I do, I said, it will be nice if I can, find the missing step, the missing information or knowledge regarding the step one. 4 and 5 months later, I'm literally watching a YouTube video and writing down the exact step. I mean, word for word. I was like blown away, right? And after, of course, I did expand on that. But that gave me that spark, and after my own creativity came up. But, so that's why I've talked to a higher power, right? Because of manifesting in a way, right? And so, and after for me, there's also the creativity, more pragmatic in a way, more using our conscious mind. Because I think the creativity that I mentioned before is more connected to the subconscious mind, to our higher power, right? And so there's a creativity of the conscious mind, which is basically to be open-minded, right? And that's very important because if you are not open-minded, I don't think you can be creative because if you are closed-minded, you're gonna reject any input the universe send it to you or any suggestion that you can get along the way, and that's a creativity killer.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, the open-mindedness. And I'm curious if you've ever come across or experienced for yourself moments of closed-minded or more challenges in expressing your creative self or experiencing creativity and how you managed or navigated that?
Oh, I'm sure I did. I don't recall specifically, but I have to say I really become open-minded because I've seen my dad was somebody that was very negative, right, and very controlling, right.
Mm.
He was very close-minded, so he showed me what not to do, right, and so that's how I started to develop. I say, why not? I mean, for different reasons, especially maybe in my country, some people can be more close-minded. They say, possible, you can do it. And I stop and I say, why not? I mean, why not? Why it's not possible? And so the why question that sense, not why me, which is a victim mode, but why not, right? Why not doing that, living that open-minded perspective, right? That everything is possible, right? I mean, at least give it some thought, right? And that's really the way it has been working for me. But the way I was probably close-minded, it's like by rejecting something without saying why not.
Yeah, it sounds like the curiosity of the why question allows for you to be open to so many possibilities. Is that something, did you have a mentor or someone who taught you that, or is this just by watching people in your own life who didn't ask those why
By my own
questions?
experiences, really. And I'm starting from that, believe it or not,
Mm.
I kind of created a philosophy, right, that expressed in the mind clearing,
Mm.
because here's, I think, what's the biggest problem, and one of the killer of creativity too, right, since that's the subject. And so what happened, we're too much in our head. So all our energy is going to our head, right? Because
Mhm.
that's how we have been programmed, right? You need to be a good problem
Mhm.
solver, right? And so the problem is like we're too much in our head. And so we are so much in our head, sweetie, that here's the thing. If you look at the stat, 80% of our thoughts are negative, 95% of our thoughts
Mhm.
are repetitive, like the same day before, the same kind of thought. And we experience
Mhm.
40 to 60, depends who you're reading, 40 to 60,000. So that's crazy. It's so busy out there, so we cannot have peace of mind, right? Because that's what you have. So if you don't have peace of mind and you've got all that negativity happening, how can you be creative, right? That's another creativity killer for you, right? And so the problem, we are so much because we try to resolve problem. And a problem, it's not positive, it's not a positive thing. A problem is a problem,
Mhm.
right? And so you have a
Sure.
problem, and after there's another problem, Mary, and after there's another problem and another problem, right? And so that's a problem, if I may say that.
Mhm.
Don't you? What you see what I mean? Does it make sense to you?
Absolutely. It does. Yes. What having a problem is a problem. I'm curious, the idea of obtaining peace of mind or finding ways to clear your mind. How do you go about doing that? What are some of those beginning steps people can take?
Yeah, first, yeah, super interesting question, perfect timing, And so here's the thing, what's causing it, right? What is the cause of our problem, basically? Right? So what
Mhm.
you have to understand how the mind works, right? So I'm going to give you some basic, because I'm always surprised how people don't really don't understand how mind works, and it's probably the most important things to know, right? How we wired,
Yes.
and what's creating our problem. Because I believe of a law of cause and consequences. So what does it mean? For every cause,
Mm.
there's an effect, and for every effect, there's a cause. I use the law of cause and consequences when I talk to my 8 years old kid, like that he can understand that, right?
Yeah,
So, anyways, if you
absolutely.
it means, Mary, if you have a problem in life, you need to know two things in order to resolve the problem permanently. Meaning, there's no more problem. You don't even
Mm.
think about that problem. You moved on. Okay, so what are those two things? Number one, you need to know what's causing your problem, right? If you don't know what's causing your problem, how can you fix it, right? And number two, find out how to fix it, right? If you know what's causing your problem and you know how to fix it, there is no more problem, right? And so this seems to be very simple, but if you follow those law, there's lots of paths that is it really the cause of my problem, right? Is there a deeper cause of my problem? And after you say, well, I don't think that's going to resolve totally my problem, right? And that's what I was confronted with healing, right? And so that's a big deal. So since we're exploring about the mind, okay, so what's causing our mind problem, right? Well, first of all, you need to know that you actually have two minds, right? And so it's kind of we live in separate world at the same time. So you've got the what we call the outer world, and the outer world is basically your conscious mind, self-identity, your personality, what you are aware of. So what are you aware of? Your thought, your emotion, your behavior, and your action, right? So that's basically the conscious mind. And after you've got Mary, it's crazy. It's very hidden. It's very mysterious mind. And we call that the subconscious mind, right? And the subconscious mind, actually, you're not aware of really truly what's going on there. And so the subconscious mind record everything you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now. Your subconscious mind also it's where your skills are located, right, are coming from. So your skill as a podcaster, as whatever you do, right, your healing your work and all that come from the subconscious mind, right? And also all the automatic systems that are happening in your body, like breathing, like your heartbeat, your digestion system, but all the things you don't have to think, and your body is doing that automatically, are stored in your subconscious mind. So I started to be very intrigued. Okay, that subconscious mind was like, wow, what the heck is going on there? I'm really curious about it, right? Like when we met.
Yeah.
And so basically, well, there's two things I want to mention on that. Actually, three things I want to mention. The first thing, your conscious mind, think you are, what you're aware of, process data at 11 bits per second. Your subconscious mind process data at 11 million bits per second. It means right now, talking to you, my conscious mind is aware of 11 bits per second of data, but my subconscious mind records 11 million bits per second of data. So that's that's so powerful, right? Anyway, now number two, if you look at your mind in general, your conscious mind is who you think 5 or 10% of your mind. Therefore, your subconscious mind, that you don't really not too many clue what's going on, is 90 to 95% of your mind. And so that's crazy. So who we think we have been told who we are, we think we're only like flesh and bone, right? And we are only 5 or 10% our mind. And that's a problem, because when you want to resolve any problem in your life, when you want to be creative, more than likely you're going to focus on your conscious mind. Meaning that in order to heal yourself, to transform yourself, and to grow, you're going to use only 5 or 10% of your mind power. So I thought, why not bringing the subconscious mind to the party and using, 100% of your mind power, which is what the mind clearing is about.
Thank you for breaking all of that down. That's very, very helpful. And if people want to take those steps to use more of their brain or their mind, the conscious and subconscious, what is the beginning step to
Well,
start
I used to
doing
travel
that?
a lot, right? I mean, I used to own the boat rental business, so I was working on a 7 month a year. And the most frustration that I had traveling is when I was meeting a cool guy, right, or gal, I couldn't communicate speaking the same language. So that was so frustrating. And that's the problem that we have. We don't speak the same language to uh, to our subconscious mind, right? We need to really able to speak the same language and tell the subconscious mind, oh, by the way, I don't want this. I want this instead, and make sure that you create that into my tell you yet. It's like we all have been programmed. You have been programmed. I have been programmed. Everybody listening to that program has been programmed, right? And so it happens, it can happen
Mm-hmm.
anytime, right? And so, but more than likely, it
Mm-hmm.
happens during early childhood, like around age 0 to 7 years old, right? So at that age, actually, even
Mm-hmm.
our brain waves are different, right? So we process the world
Yeah.
differently. We've got theta wave, beta waves, which is more, we are kind of more like a sponge and absorb everything. So what we're seeing in the outside, we take that, we assume it's the truth. So when you assume one time, two times, three
Mm-hmm.
times, it becomes after a program in your subconscious mind. And basically, Mary, you've got two kind of
Yeah.
programming. You've got one that's serving you, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like a positive programming. Some people will call that empowering belief, right? And so it's kind of like when you've got a
Mm-hmm.
day and everything is working wonders, like your mind is working for you and not against you, right? And you say, man, I'm
Yeah.
killing it
Yeah.
today, right? And you see, I'm sure you have experience, and everybody in the audience has experienced that way. And we say, man, life is great, loves me, blah, 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 right? And so those are positive
Mm-hmm.
programming. And of course, you've got the negative programming, programs that are not serving you any longer, right? And so basically, they call that
Mm-hmm.
limiting belief or negative programming. It doesn't really matter. And so
Yeah.
basically, it's kind of like you've got a day, Mary, that you wake up and right away everything goes wrong for you, right? I mean, you just it's not even that it's unproductive. It can be also counterproductive, and you think to yourself, you say, man, I wish I will have stay in bed today because that's not working for me, right? And so it's when your mind is
Yeah.
working against you instead of working you. Of course, what we want to get rid of those limit programming that are to grow, to heal, to be creative, and all that, right? That's really the limitator in our power, right? That's limiting us, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, and so when you there's one more things I want to say like that. You will have all the basic, right? The basic things that people, I mean, there's not lots of people, unfortunately, talking about that, right? And so if you make the
Mm-hmm.
analogy of your mind being like a computer, right? And so your brain will be the hard drive. Your subconscious mind
Mm.
is your software. The output of a software is your conscious mind, and your behavior is reflected on the screen of life. So if you've got very good programming, so
Mm-hmm.
if I ask you, Mary, hey, you know what? If you've got good quality software, I say, how you doing? You will say, oh, fantastic. I'm doing I'm a creator of that podcast. I talk to so many people. Life is great, and so forth. But you've got lots of a worse quality programming, right? And you've got lots of limiting belief or negative things. You're going to tell me, oh man, it's always a struggle. People sometimes are always late on my program or they have bad connection or things like that. And you're not gonna with your situation in life anyway. And
Oh,
so
I love it.
that's
Yes.
how we can speak. When you've got a bad program in your computer, what are you gonna do? You're going to delete that program because that's not working for you. You're going to go to the Play Store. You're going to download a program that works better for you. And you're going to have to be very happy with what you see in the screen of life and the outcome, right? Those are basically the three steps of a mind
Mm-hmm.
clearing. Number one, you delete what you don't want. Number two, you download what you want instead. You don't have to find out what are your limiting beliefs. Not at all. You just download, you replace it. And number three, you want to create, create, and create. Or you can say manifest, right? So you want to make sure that you're going to create that
Mm-hmm.
into your life. It's going to show that into your life because otherwise, if it stays in your head, it's only a fantasy. In order to learn from our experience, we need to create the experience, right? And so we need to physically make it happen by taking action.
Well, thank you so much for breaking all of this down. It's very helpful to have some of those steps in place. And the empowering and limiting belief difference and how easily we as children absorb both because of where we're at in our development. And I'm curious, in your own childhood, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
It was actually a problem solving. I don't remember how old I was,
Mm.
but I remember my dad and aunt, were debating something, how to do it. And for me, the solution was like, I mean, it was so obvious, right? And I started to tell them, oh, we need to do this and that. And they look at me like I was from Mars or something, like an ET, really, and say, well, he's right, and that's how I started. I remember that because after they will pay attention to me, right? I was not only the kid. I said, oh, this guy, can come up with some good ideas, and so they will more consider, what I have to say. That's the first thing that the earliest I remember.
I love it. And it sounds like you're still doing that. You're still looking at problems and supporting people to find their solutions and helping them. Where does your inspiration for what you do come from?
Um, I don't know, to be honest with you, right? I think if you want to rationalize it, because the way it has been happening with me, it's like when I treat people, I'm starting to do things out of the blue. I mean, literally out of the blue.
Mm,
And I let it be, and after I ask, on
yeah.
my patient, I remember when I created that technique. It's a breathing technique, really. I call that the blowing technique. And I started to do that out of the blue. And I remember that patient told me, please don't stop. I said, okay. Right. And after I just
Mhm.
came up with some more reasoning to explain that, but where it's coming from, to be honest, I don't know. And after I've seen that those tradition happen in the shamanic work, like some Tibetan, Lama Tibetan are
Mhm.
blowing, on people. I know it sounds crazy, but it just help people and have the body, getting rid of the
Yeah.
stress and mentally they feel more relaxed. So I remember because I'm a doctor, right? And so the first thing I say, I'm going to explain that, number one, right? That's always, I think true creativity comes for me, right? I cannot talk for anybody, but when I don't know how to explain it, I knew, I
Ah,
know that this
yeah.
is
Yeah.
coming from higher powers, right? And when I say I'm going to explain it,
Yeah.
I'm a big time creative mode, and that's
Mm.
that we we are inventors or creating really things. I mean, it's our ability to tap the higher power, to tap into what they call, yeah, and to me that
Hmm.
form of creativity, that's the higher form of creativity, right? That's again when
Hmm.
you're doing this out of the blue. Yeah, it's almost like you even didn't ask for it, right? I mean, it just come out of the blue, and you don't know how to explain it, right? I remember
Mm.
the man clearing when I started to treat
Hmm.
uh, people, which is, it took me 3 or 4, I mean, 4 years now to put it the way it is. And I said, oh my God,
Hmm.
I'm going to explain that. I had no idea. But I treated myself. And so here's what I believed in, right? I think we can get more creative when we get rid of a limiting belief. Because if you look at the big picture, right? So let's pretend the sun is God, is a
Mm.
whatever you believe is on higher power, right? That's the sun. And after a spark of the sun, create your spirit, right? And all that is like, it's what we call
Mm.
non-duality, meaning it's like some people will understand more like pure love. Some people will understand that all there is and has ever been, right? And after you've got the sky, and after you've got you and me, the physical you and me, right? And
Hmm.
so some people, they've got so
Hmm.
much cloud in the sky that they say, there's no sun. Never felt it, never saw it, right? And so when you start to get rid of, so what are the clouds? They are your
Yeah.
negative programming that disconnect
I
you,
love it.
right? And so what happened, you start to get rid of some limiting belief, right? And after you can have a glimpse You can feel the warmth of the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting excited because it's pretty cool to feel that, right? And so you get rid of more limiting belief, more negative programming, and after
Mm.
you get more connected to your spirit. And at one point, you awaken at the idea that you are not only 5 or 10% of your mind, you are not only like flesh and bone, you are a spirit
Mm-hmm.
living a, a human being experience. And that's what I call the awakening, right? And when you realize that, after you cannot see the world differently. After you understand that all of what's happening in your life, you have been creating that. The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So now, if you to have
Mm-hmm.
better experience and raise your level of consciousness by getting rid of that loud and getting a better connection to your spirit, is so much more creative. I mean, that's your spirit is pure creativity.
Wow.
So when you can
Yeah.
achieve that, and you see what I mean, and more you
Right.
achieve that, more you're going to raise what we call your level, more clarity you're going to have, more focus you're going to have, more confidence on yourself you're going to have, right? And so, and also more access to new knowledge you're gonna have. Let's pretend the knowledge to get the step one on mind clearing was there, and I was here, right? So I started to treat myself, get rid, and after I can resonate with that knowledge, right? Because each time you raise your level of consciousness or vibration, I don't want to use this big word because it's very simple. More you become clear who you are and what you're doing, and more focused and more confident and with less negative emotion, I mean, life becomes easier. You resonate with knowledge that you didn't have access to it. And that's how I was able to develop and the mind idea. You know, with the mind clearing, with step one, we can delete any negative thought in 5 minutes. It's gone. That's how powerful it can when you speak the same language. You know, there's people say, oh, it has to take long time to get rid of your limiting belief. No, if you speak the same language, you say, hey, buddy, you're talking to the subconscious mind. Hey, buddy, I'm going to open that file here. That's what I get rid of. So you get the file cabinet in your subconscious mind. You open one file, right? Up, you don't want it, and you're going to replace it. That's very important. You want to replace it with something that you want, your ideal outcome. And after you're going to place that file to see that on my screen of life. Please, can you do that and make it happen?
Very inspirational to hear all these pieces put together. And thank you so much for taking the time to share them and chat with me. I have one last question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Well, in my body. I'm not really sure. I never thought about that. That's a very interesting question. But if I want to tell you about it and reasoning, right? Uh, Freedom, right? Actually, I'm not. Actually, I'm feeling it now. I'm sorry. I'm not analytical about that. It's more freedom, right? Because to me, it's just come with that creativity. It's so exciting. It's like why you wake up in the morning to me, and I've been doing that 28 years, right? So otherwise I will get bored, I will lose interest. And since my purpose has been given to me when I was in my sailing boat in south of France, I knew what I was blessed. I knew what I was designed to do. But I would imagine to create such a technique, right? I mean, I'm still pinching myself. I cannot believe it, right? So you get that innocence, right? You get that spontaneity. You keep that we say in France, joie de vivre, right? You still keep that childlike, fire in your spirit, and I'm 63 years old. I do martial arts. I do like so many activities, right? So my body is not aging also, right? And so I think that creativity keep your spirit young, right? I should say because your
Mm.
spirit is always young, and keep your soul young, right?
Mhm.
And fresh, right? And spontaneous and open-minded and open-hearted, right? And so So that's the way I will describe that.
Thank you so much. It's been such a treat chatting with you. If people want to learn more about the work you do, how could they go about doing that?
Well, they go to my website. It's called themindclearing.com, mindclearing.com. They go into contact, right? And if they mention your podcast, if they want to get a treatment and experience truly what it is, because we can talk about that forever, but truly experiencing things. No, if you don't experience it. So they will get a treatment with me personally, and they will understand how on the spot you can change and really change your perspective about whatever problem you have. And it can be a physical problem, right? So there's 3 programs. There's the mind clearing basic. There's the body clearing, which is about treating pain and symptom in your body by reprogramming your mind. By the way, I don't know anybody who does that, right? Who claim that clearing the mind, you can get rid of neck pain and low back pain and all that. And I've got testimonial that you can see that. So you've got the goal and success clearing. It's just to make sure that to unleash the superpower of your subconscious mind to help you to reach your goal, right? To use 100% of your mind power, right? And so there's different steps we do that, but you just have to try it. I call that the mind clearing revolution because this can help you, right?
Well, thank you so much. I will put your website link in show notes so people have easy access. And thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Me too, Mary. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.